Howdy, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. This is going to be another episode of Story Time. And this is not really one particular story, but it's a story what happens when you run from the popo in a high-speed chase and you endanger the lives of many, many citizens, law enforcement, and such like that. So what I'm going to tell you is the truth, but it's probably not politically correct in probably in the law enforcement circles. But so much time has passed, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But it's the reality of what used to happen. Uh, when I dispatched for the Popo in the 80s, if there was an extensive high-speed chase, so I say extensive, that went on, it wasn't just like a minute or something like that. If it got very dangerous and exceeded speeds of like over 100 miles an hour or was very dangerous, it was pretty much understood that that driver of that vehicle that was committing serious offenses that could have terminated the lives of many people, that there, once they were apprehended, there was going to be a little bit of street justice. A lot of people are not going to like that. I realize there's different people on both sides of the fence, but one thing we always did when there was a high-speed chase was it was kind of understood. A 1044 is a request for an ambulance. In those days, you would almost, I wouldn't say you would be shunned, but if there was, it was kind of like code, like, the suspect's basically in custody. Now he needs medical attention. You can figure that out on your own. But if there was a major, serious, high-speed chase where lives were endangered like that, if you did not request an ambulance, then there, it's your peers are going to look different upon you, and because you it's going to sound contradictory, but when you administrate street justice like that, as much as people will not agree with me, it's definitely a deterrent. I promise you, those people won't do that crap again. They will not do that again. I can promise you that. So it's almost like you're almost questioned by your peers if you do not administer some street. That was like the old days. This is the 80s. 40 years later, it's a little different world today. But I can tell you, every time I was on the radio and the county police, they were in the same room whenever there was a high-speed chase, and that like it's ended either in an accident or just by the people surrendering, or usually the people that surrendered, they were treated a little bit better, unless you've rammed a police officer's vehicle or something like that, and then it's fair game at that point. That's kind of was the unwritten rule. But if you did not request a 1044, something was wrong. Everybody in the room was silent, waiting. What would happen is when they were approaching the suspect vehicle, like obviously during a high-speed chase, you pretty much have a radio restriction. That was what we called a 10-100. Excuse me. 10-100 is basically, in a police chase, it would be basically the two primary chase vehicles would communicate. Pretty much nobody else was allowed to communicate other than like a dispatcher. You could try and coordinate, and but you try to give the police officers, the troopers that are chasing the vehicle, as much air time as possible, unless you had some knowledge or you have coordination of another law enforcement agency or something could, be unsafe, like a sharp turn. That's the only times I would ever interject as a dispatcher. And I always held those troopers to that standard of, everybody, if you want to chit chat, go to the other channel. I don't mean chit chat, but you want to try and coordinate things. We had other dispatchers, but it's very imperative for the trooper and the troopers that are chasing, or when I say troopers, it wasn't always troopers. It could have been county police, whatever. But the first two vehicles, generally you want the second vehicle to be doing the communicating. The first vehicle is focused on the closest pursuit and such like that. So what reminded me of this topic was, I just got done watching a video. It was called Georgia State Police Pursuit of a Dodge Challenger, and it got hairy at times, very hairy. And Dodge Challengers, they can haul some serious butt. And this trooper chased, I don't know exact time period, I can give you a ballpark, and I'm sure this video has been edited, but chased him probably about for 20 minutes at a lot of it was on the highway. The trooper almost got wiped out a couple times by civilians not understanding how to yield to a emergency vehicle. And there's one hairy situation in that video where the trooper thinks he's about to bite the bullet. So the end of that chase was just reminded me so much. When this trooper may have had a wife and 3 kids. I have no idea. And all these other people in these vehicles, they probably have families. So it angers you when you see people so disrespectful to life and property and stuff like that. So when those chases would go on, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was 100% in favor of street justice. If it got really ridiculous, if it was something short, just through a short little neighborhood, even those can be dangerous. Depends what time of day or night it is. But if you get really BS crazy, you've lost all your rights to me as an individual, and you jeopardized so many lives. You deserve a mag light on your head. You deserve staples in your head. I don't care what people say. You do. And I know everybody has body cams nowadays and all this stuff, but I still believe in that street justice, because those people will never do that. I promise you, those people, they'll never make that mistake again. So anyway, but this story time is just about respecting the popo and not endangering the lives of citizens and law enforcement. So I'm going to end it with that. Don't play with the popo. Don't play with the popo, because sometimes you might win. Most of the time you're going to lose. There's an old song called "I Fought the Law and the Law Won." So just think about that. I'm going to tap out, folks, and don't be an idiot. Don't just try and respect the popo, and that's all I can tell you. That's my message for the day. Respect the popo.